This is about this joint meeting of the trail between, what do they call it, Riley, Duffy Hill Road Trail? So, what's your opinion on this, gentlemen?
Well, we don't really have one yet. We're kind of open to discussion about what's going to be the best avenue to pursue this. We certainly don't want to close it right off,
Right.
Because there's some properties on there that if we do, it's going to affect them. But we also want to. Obviously, our roads are open to ATV use, and yours aren't. So there's one thing that they shouldn't be going through, but it's more trash and the lack of respect that is being
For
shown
other people's property.
for other people's properties. That's the biggest deterrent, I think.
The other thing too is that when we looked into getting it off of GPS, so having people, telling them to go that way to get into Duffy Hill, to take it off as a class 4 road is a lot more difficult than if it was a private road or a trail. And the biggest problem is the traffic going through there for our residents, and there a few of them are here. If you guys want to speak about a few things, I'm sure that's
Yeah,
fine.
we're welcome to listen. We want
But
is the majority of the road in Sheldon?
no,
It's half and half, kind of?
yeah,
Okay.
and it's only really passable for about a quarter mile, not even, right?
Well, some idiot went and fixed the road to benefit us,
Yeah,
for maintenance,
yeah,
and it's gotten worse.
yeah.
Yeah, they're not going on my property anymore because I can't. But they are using the road, and speed is an issue. You said that it's going to affect other property owners on there for access.
Isn't there one other person that owns on the other side, or the uphill side from you? Or am I wrong?
Sorry, Dan.
We're all here.
Okay.
We all agreed that we could write up, or have a lawyer write up some sort of a deed or whatever stating that we all have access for right of way to our properties. And we all agree on it, and there wouldn't be any issues there, I don't think. The only person I haven't spoken to is Mark Kane. And he owns just like a little sliver at the bottom. So he could access there pretty easily, I think. When you talk about lack of respect, I think that is what got this all started. The lack of respect from other people. Speed on the forward, on by 2 houses, Kelsey's not here.
Yeah.
On purpose, when you ask them to slow down, they'll go wheelie and go 70 type stuff. A guy gave me the finger the other day, drove up my driveway, realized he couldn't go any further because my sugar house was at the end of it. Turned around, I was mowing lawn, I got off, I said, hey bud, what's going on? He gave me the finger, turned down that road and went through it. Some of us don't handle that very well.
I'll come and find 2-stranded fence down on property I'm managing for livestock. They just take the fence right to the ground and drive out because they can't get by the mud puddles. So they're raiding out the road onto over stone walls into the forest over my fence.
I mean, multiple occasions I've been mowing my lawn, which is a majority of the driveway down Riley Road, and hit twisted T-bottles, not seeing them in the grass. So now I've got shattered glass out on my lawn with little kids, dogs. I mean, it's just, and it's all the time. And, I'm assuming it's not Randy throwing them out there. It's definitely not me. So it's gotta be somebody in a mud truck, 4-wheeler, they don't care.
And we paid to have the road regraded 2 years ago, and I think within 48 hours, somebody had done donuts and just kind of absolutely destroyed it. We paid that down, so we're just not going to continue to do that. It doesn't.
And I try to, because I use a lot of sugar, and I take my box blade and hit it hard a couple times a year.
Yeah.
Doesn't do any good.
We have had folks drive in from Fairfield and who were following GPS, or maybe they just think it's a good idea to drive through the road, who've gotten pretty badly stuck quite a ways in. I've pulled some out over the years with a tractor, and a couple of years ago, the state police actually were at Dad's house, Dad Black's house, trying to figure out where the person texting the state police was, because the police couldn't even find her, because she'd driven in the road so far. So, yeah, it's quite an assortment of problems.
Cause you rent the land from Rice Farm, right? That would be,
The flash to
yeah, that would be on the northern side of the road.
The Fairfield side,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I access that with a tractor, hay equipment, and animals.
Yeah,
I'm just that initial entrance. And then I drive down the road quite a ways now that Randy's fixed it. It's very handy to be able to go down there to do fencing from the woods side when I have animals in there, so I don't have to drive through all my fences.
yeah.
That is a benefit to me as a user, a land user.
We just met.
Well, we thought this bring everybody together. So suggestions, I mean, we're just open to stuff here. We're not pushing one thing or another, and we know there's a problem and we'd like to try to help out.
Do we have suggestions? You know, going into it, I listened to people, and I guess that's probably why I took the lead on it. One of the reasons, the Jeep that went up on a property way on top of the hill, on private property, didn't care. Karen, I don't know if you guys, sugar makers, a lot of you, when you get a trunk line system, double line is tight, and you cut wires on that and trying to get that back together to where it was when you put it up, they cut the wires and pulled themselves out of the ditch, so all the wire was cooked up where they stretched it. And when they let off stuff like that, I mean, it's lack of respect. And, do I care if they ride down the road? Have I in the past? If they would slow down and not throw the trash out. I mean, I tried to remind my son, because he can remember this day, taking a wheeler down there and loading up trailers full of junk, putting them in the car dumpster. Stuff like that. I mean, it's a lack of respect. If they're not gonna respect it, nobody pays taxes on that property except for us. And we maintain that property because nobody else does. Should it be there? Are you guys ever gonna open that road up? Ever? No. Never.
So can that be designated a trail instead of a road? Should be, right? I don't know if how long the process
My
is.
thought was more just throwing the road up. Are you guys proposing to take over that as a private drive? Or, I mean, we were talking, because there's 911 numbers right up to Randy's Sugar House, we were thinking maybe just shut it down right past that last 911 address.
Or before it.
And, well, you can't.
You can't.
You've gotta have access. If you've got a 911 address, you have to have access with emergency vehicles to get to it.
Do I have to have a 911 address on my sugar house?
I don't know how you got one on there in permit.
Nor do I.
But, you know, but anyways, that's, you know, and that's our thought, but I mean, if you guys are proposing, because we don't maintain the road anyway.
Right, we do.
And if you guys are thinking you'd rather have a private drive and maintain it yourself, we'd have to go through the process of throwing that road up. And we've done that before in town. And it's,
What's the difference between throwing it up and turning it into a trail? Is that the same thing or is that different?
if it's still a legal trail, anybody's got the right to go through it there. As long as it's a town road or a trail, designated a trail, anyone has the right to go through there because it's basically town property.
So it'll still be
As far
the
as
same
all
as what we
the
already
things
got.
I've written, it's what I understand on it.
Yeah.
You could probably narrow it down so that it could go through with vehicles, four-wheelers, horses, people walking.
That's
That
gonna
kind
be a big expense to.
Yeah.
No, that's what we thought.
We thought, let's put blocks on the end so they couldn't go through it.
Well, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could block up the entranceway. but-
Enough so just,
He
That wouldn't work
says,
for me,
he
though.
says he's got parts of the fields and parts of his sugar woods that are blocked off by fence or sap lines and they're
Yeah.
getting through that. You know, I mean, if you put blocks up, are they gonna go around into Marquaine's field and back up through?
yeah.
I mean, they still might, I mean, I'm not sure with the.
Can a block gate work with a style for non-motorized use? Is that something that is done elsewhere in Vermont? I don't know. I've seen it on vast trails, but I know that's a public, it's not public, it's a private.
I think you can put a gate, but you can't put a lock on it.
Okay.
Now, if you're gonna put the blocks, like you said, on that property, so that the four-wheelers can't get through there, the only way I've got to get to my property is either on foot or on four-wheeler. How am I gonna get to my property?
No, we were talking about putting blocks so that a four-wheeler could go through, but cars, Jeeps.
Well, yeah, but then that doesn't stop.
It doesn't solve the
four-wheelers
whole
from going
problem.
through, So what's the point?
cuts it down, but it doesn't
The
solve
only
the
thing
problem.
what your suggestion will do, and it's gonna happen now too, in the winter, mostly during deer season, there's pickups, we can see them from the house going through there, all hours of the night. What are they doing up there? You know, they got no business there. Obviously, they're not ethical hunters, that's for sure, we'll leave it at that, but.
There's no signs right now, right? I mean, you could try signs and putting the gate where each side wanted to put them and with a sign on it, there's no through traffic. I mean, you could try that just for,
Yeah.
It's gonna keep mostly honest people, it's not gonna keep mostly riffraff.
no, but think,
Yeah, but keep the honest ones out.
Okay, the ones that are a problem are still gonna maintain the noise through.
But we know who's from.
Well, I don't know. I think if you put a gate up and
you know,
I think
no,
it's gonna stop some
no
of them.
through
I think,
traffic.
you know, cause right now they do have access to go through there.
Right.
You know, and if you go down to the town or whatever and you look, yeah, I can go through there.
Right.
And they're not breaking any laws if they stay on there and they break the speed limit. I mean, the trash on the side, the bottles, you go down any town road nowadays. It's that, like Randy said, it's that respect thing. You know, people aren't respectful as they used to be, I think. And that part of it, I don't, you know, a lot of that would stop because people wouldn't be going up there. But you're still, you know, some of that's still gonna be
So
there.
what happens on Fairfield then where they aren't allowing four-wheelers on these roads? They're still going through,
Well,
they aren't getting in trouble.
no, I think that all comes down to enforcement. I mean, you can make all the laws you want, but you can't prevent them from happening.
Because there's definitely
There's
a lot of
always
four-wheeler
gonna be
traffic.
that. Yeah, there's four-wheeler traffic in Fairfield. I've seen that.
So the difference of what we're talking about is a unlocked gate, which allows for a trail, and the town still maintains its right of way as a trail, or throw it up and close it down completely, which we could put a locked gate then as private landowners. Is that the difference? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Kind of the way I understand it.
Yeah. And I mean, from our side of things, we already maintain the Sheldon side completely. So it's zero change to us if you throw it up and make it a private drive. I mean, we plow Ticketell Road already. We Harley rake Ticketell Road already. I mean,
If you'd come over the hill a little ways.
I've gone to the sugar house multiple times. So
From
You make it too nice for him, that's why.
Right.
Look at this, it's nice trail for us.
I think under legal terms, they call that a
I was
attractive
thinking-
nuisance.
Yeah.
When I did that, I was thinking it would stay on the road, honestly. And I actually put rocks up on the stone, existing stone wall, thinking that would keep them in the road. 28-foot box trailer went through that road after I fixed it. If that means anything, and I got pictures of it. Got caught in a tree and locked up, and they had to jack it up, put stones under it, and they went all the way through. They smashed the top of it all to hell by hitting trees, but they made it through. 2 Mexicans. So I fixed it too friggin' good for one, but what I'm getting at is they're still driving on my property around those friggin' rocks. That's the respect level, trying to hit that mud puddle down in the bottom. That's what I'm getting at. So no matter what I do to fix that road and make it passable for vehicles, so they won't go through those 2 holes that are 18 dump cart loads of stone in there to keep people on the road. They're still going off the road. You're not gonna stop that by putting a gate up or making a lane trail.
What is the legal process that you guys have to go through as the select board or the towns to either to throw it up or to gate it and have it be a trail?
Well, that's not, so you can't gate it if it's a trail, just for clarification.
Okay.
You can make it, there's 3 options, status quo, make it a trail, throw it up. And to throw it up is a hearing, and you ask the people like yourselves what the input. And I'm not sure the exact, but I think it's there's a public hearing and then
We've done it in Sheldon a few years back, and you have to post a meeting notice, you have to hold a special meeting, it can't be during the same time as the select board meeting. You have to notify any landowners, and then you have a hearing. and then you make your decision off, you know, what you have for facts and findings, I guess.
And obviously this road's
And
unique
then it-
because it touches both communities, so whatever we
And
do
then
affects you guys.
It needs to be posted, and it can be, you know, if there's a petition, it can be revisited, I guess.
And if the decision is just to turn it into a trail, which it doesn't sound like that solves the four-wheeler problem, but what's that process like for a legal process?
I'm not sure. We've
I'm gonna say, I haven't been through it, so I don't know how that one goes. How long did it take for, when you, those roads you abandoned, how long did it take that process? For it actually came
You
legal?
gotta have a 30-day notice, you hold your hearing, and then you have, I almost think it was another 30 days to make your decision, and then they've got time to sign a petition against it, I guess.
So
We didn't,
I'm sorry, sir.
one of the landowners that was affected by it brought an attorney with him, but then when he left, he was happy with the decision, so. It was basically, we weren't gonna plow the road in the winter anymore. You know, and I remember we maintained it and plowed it,
It's what you
but
got now.
it was just a one single house. And he didn't like the way where the plows were turning around by the old farm.
Signs,
and
noticeable
we
traffic. It's just gonna keep
decided
the
to
opposite,
just
it's
do
gonna
away
make it
with
a
it.
little more.
So you can abandon the road like that, even though there is one taxpayer on the end that, at the time, apparently.
You can, he just turned it into a private drive, and we changed
Yeah.
the signs out, we took the road signs out on the.
So it's all his maintenance now.
It's all his.
Now, would it be possible for, say Fairfield to throw up their end and Sheldon do absolutely nothing, or vice versa? Is that possible, or both towns have to be together?
The way I looked at it, both towns had to agree on it. Both had to have a special meeting.
No? Okay.
Kim gave us some documentation on it, and that's the trickiest part about it, and that's why we're here, is because both towns had to agree on it. We can't make a decision on our half of the road.
Right. Be like us throwing our half up, and you guys have, we wanna go through.
Right.
You know?
Right, no,
It's like you guys start.
haven't the laws changed in the past 4 years, what they used to have to do?
State statute, huh?
No problem.
I understand
It's just
that.
like that.
Town
I
stuff
had
that
it
they're-
twice on my land. I had this price. I did it.
So I assume most of the landowners are
I
here,
had a hearing.
that border this
I
road.
objected 30 years ago.
Few,
Francis Ford
there's a few
said,
that
okay, we'll
aren't
keep it
here,
like this. It's just like that.
and, I think is there maybe one more that's not here?
Yeah.
And officially, the land on the Old Town Road is Dad's, not mine,
Yeah,
so,
But you're representing that.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
they'll-
representing Mom too, so.
yeah.
There's two.
Yeah,
We spoke to Chelsea, they
our
couldn't
land
be
and
here.
us.
Yep.
Chelsea, then you got Marcane on the end, but we could
right.
make it, he only owns probably 100 feet
Yeah,
of that road.
yeah.
So we could make something, I'm sure he'd probably agree, I don't know.
But the majority of you are in favor of throwing the road up, is that the deal?
Yes.
And one of the ones that isn't expressed to us that they would be good throwing the road up as well.
And then it kind of basically reverts back to the landowners, right? Both sides of the road.
But is that something we wanna do, give up a right of way where someday that may be the road we want? I mean, it's not like it's a,
But how many years has that been a right of way that hasn't been used by the towns? I know, he's old. And he doesn't remember it.
And my sister's 10 years older than I am, and it's never been touched, you know, in any of our lifetimes, that's for sure. But what I don't understand, to get from Duffy Hill to the Cotell Road, for that little half-mile stretch, it's a long way around, no matter how you go, unless you cut through that old trail. A lot of people are using it for that. If they're working for Boomhauer's, living on the other side or something, there you go. There you go. There you go.
I can tell you, all sugaring, I drive my truck the whole way around.
Yeah.
But you couldn't get through that road anyways.
No, not that time of year, you can't.
Not at all,
No.
it's, I mean.
Well, you can't have anything.
It is redundant.
If somebody can put money in it,
Like,
yeah, you're gonna be.
I think we're in business with Dave.
Oh, you do?
I travel to that sugar house every day.
That's a long ways around.
It is, it's 20 minutes.
Now, I have a question. If this goes up for a special meeting and then it goes up and it's posted out there, what happens if it's all four-wheeler people that come in and say they don't want the road thrown up?
public road, they have an interest in it, they have a
It's
say.
illegal for a four-wheeler to be on the highway in Fairfield. So they shouldn't have any say. People that aren't paying taxes on that road, in my opinion, shouldn't have any say.
What is Fairfield's class 4 and Sheldon's class 4 road policies right now in terms of maintenance and access?
You don't do jack.
Yeah.
That's what a class 4 road basically means. Like in Fairfield, if someone gets using it and upgrading it, they're supposed to come select board first and ask about it before they can even tile it or put culverts in or anything like that. I don't know how it is in Sheldon, but that's how we've been doing it.
Yeah,
What is what opinion weight does it have for non-adjoining landowners in terms of whether it would be thrown up once it comes time for a hearing?
I'd probably want to ask our attorney that question, to be honest with you. I'm not, or unless Steve knows from the last one. The last one went smooth, sounds like, so it's different. But I'd probably want to talk to an attorney personally.
Yeah.
And I would think the landowners would have a majority of the.
I was gonna say, I'd be more in favor of the landowners that are just butt this properties and have problems with it.
But because why would it be fair for the landowners to have to take care of the road so the four-wheelers can go on it and just trash things and not respect the property? Because I know Randy's put a lot into it.
Right, that's a personal decision, that's not a town obligation. The obligation on a class 4 road to the town is nothing. That's why you make them class 4 roads. So whoever wants to maintain it, go on it easier, and wants to put a little gravel here or some stones there, that's up to them as individuals.
When did the standards change on the class 4 road? Because I looked it up the other day and it was different from when the old orange book that we used to use for town.
Yeah, I can't tell you, I don't know.
Changed. Because towns would get money from FEMA to replace a culvert or bridge on the highway, and now that's the case.
I think a lot of it was that, wasn't there a case in southern Vermont? Changed all the things on these class 4 roads because guy built a house, like $1 million house down in southern Vermont, right in the middle of what was a class 4 road. And then it went to court, so then towns had to declare what roads they were keeping as actual town roads, what were trails, and they all had to be identified. And if you didn't, or if you couldn't prove, town couldn't prove they actually owned the road at one time. We spent, what, $5,000 on one road it was one of the first original roads in Fairfield. Couldn't find documentation where it was actually laid out. So it got pretty complex after that.
I remember that.
Yeah, that lawsuit. And that was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was a big fight somewhere, right? Where
Yeah.
2 landowners were fighting over the road. One wanted it for his house and the other one didn't want him to go through there.
Yeah.
I never forget how it did turn out. But
Yeah, there was 2 main issues in the state of Vermont.
One, the guy had already built his fancy
Yeah.
house right in the road, or the old class 4 road.
I'm curious why there's not precedent somewhere in Vermont for making a trail that is actually non-motorized, or maybe this is an opportunity to help set that kind of precedent. There's no path forward for.
Well, that's what I think he was saying. This is get together, let's see where we're at.
Yeah.
We'll bring lawyers and precedent and stuff in above all of our pay grade when we get to that point.
Sure, I mean, maybe there's opportunity coming up, and
Right.
I just don't know what that is, I just wanted to bring that up.
No, we're no further ahead than you. Unless
Because
you're-
the ATV use is kind of that crux, aspect. Everybody wants it to be non-motorized, we want some kind of access to it. And the public access for others in town to use just in a non-motorized way. Maybe this could be a showcase for that somehow, I don't
Right,
know.
and that, but that's.
Be a hard scene there when you got guys that are sure gonna need to go on the
That's
4-wheelers
where
and
I have
trike
the issue
machines.
is, I want to use it for my truck and tractor to go to the sugar house.
Yeah.
It's a town highway, but you can't use it. So if it's public land, I'm not arguing with you.
No, I'm not either. I agree with what you're saying. But there's a difference in a way. If you look at it from our end as property owners, we pay tax to the center. It's not a maintained road from the town. So yes, people are paying tax within the town, but we're paying taxes on that road that we own to the center of.
I pay taxes.
And it's not maintained. See what I'm saying? And we maintain it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no,
there is a
I get
difference
it.
If you look at it from our house.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Do I wanna shut the road down for bikers, skiers, horses? No. No. Because they're pretty respectful. It's I should have took pictures, I didn't have my phone. I don't use it in my truck. Today when I met these folks, I drove around. I don't drive down that road in my truck. Out of respect for the property owners down there. Even though I'm probably the only one that maintains it from Duffy Hill to the Shelby line. But I don't, because I've got four-wheelers that I try not to until the winter time when this rolls. But because I'm doing maintenance down there, I have to. Unfortunately, I'm the one that owns from Shelby all the way to the end of Fairfield Duffy Hill. With a little span, 50 foot wide that I don't on that one side of the road. This one even, I guess I took point of it, but I wasn't the only one that felt the way we all feel going into it. I took lead because
Somebody's got it.
yeah.
Now, I got a question, it's for Randy as much as anybody. If we throw this thing up, so it's private property, and we each own to the center of the road, but yet it's still a recognized trail, without liability. If somebody gets in there and a horse breaks their leg on a pothole or some darn.
Well, wait, so just for terminology, it's not it's not a trail. At that
No,
point.
I'm saying.
No, wait. It's not a trail, it's called a right of way at that point. If you throw up the road, the adjoining landowners get center line of the road, and then they, as was mentioned, they write a
That's right.
draft an agreement.
That's
But a
right.
right of way is different from a trail, that's what
That's
I'm
right,
saying.
no, I understand that, but what Randy is saying, we don't wanna stop anybody from going through there on a horse or a skier or anybody. No, that's not one of the landowners, but what happens if they get hurt in that stretch? What's the
I don't
liability?
think your liability,
I guess
if
that
a
we
hunter
don't-
gets hurt on your lane.
So Gavin,
So
I know.
I think we could ask a lot of questions constantly and agree, disagree with each other through the whole process.
So I know a little bit about that subject. Gavin used the term attractive nuisance. So if you put a merry-go-round on this trail and a kid went on a merry-go-round and got hurt, you're liable. If there's no attractive nuisance, it's just a trail and someone gets hurt on it, you're not liable. And you can, go to a lawyer and talk to it. But that's from Jonathan Woods, former secretary of A&R, who owns all this, was responsible for all the state lands. Attractive nuisance, you're liable. You don't make an attractive nuisance on a right-of-way, you're not liable. You can check with your lawyers, but that's a rule of thumb. Because I own the island, and I ask the same question. Somebody gets out on the island in Fairfield Pond and drowns, is that on me? And the answer is no. But if you put a rope swing on the island, and someone swings on a rope swing, and they gets hurt, you're liable.
I've also asked a similar question to the Vermont Mountain Bike Club, and if you're not charging for a use of your recreational trails as a amusement attraction kind of thing, and you're just allowing people a right of way as a trail, there's no, you're covered, Vermont law covers you against being hurt on the road.
Okay.
You're not charging for
Yeah.
horses or skiers.
Yeah, but let's see what happens, all right, so one of these potholes come back or something, someone gets hurt, and that obvious pothole that everybody can see. Is that, I don't know, because we're not maintaining it.
I've been down there to help a four-wheeler that probably had a few too many drinks that drove head on into a tree.
Oh,
On one side or the other, it's same thing, they go off the edge of the trail, they're still on your property now.
But if we left it as a trail, would we be obligated to maintain it in any way?
If we left
It's
it.
not a trail, so
If we left, if you.
The town
has a trail.
If it's private property and we're allowing people to use it as a trail, are we obligated to maintain it in any way?
I don't think they do.
No,
Depends on-
private property.
All right. So then if somebody stepped in a pothole and broke their ankle, it wouldn't.
So
It's on that.
it's a
I think it's the same thing, if you let a hunter go on your land, he breaks his leg, you're not liable for it.
But it's private property, so it doesn't, they're using
If you don't charge us.
Well,
So,
we're not gonna solve this issue tonight, but do we need a direction? Do we wanna, what do you guys wanna do?
that's what I want to say. So the landowners that are represented here Your wish appears to be throw the road up.
I'd be fine with that.
That's what I hear from there.
Would you guys be, I mean, just because obviously ATV use is coming to somewhat of a slow, would it be good for the remainder of the time until the snow flies to try a gate in signs, just to, until, obviously, we're not gonna get this solved in the next, 60 days. Do we wanna try signs and gates at this point? So at least we try to deter through the next 60 days or 90 days or 120, whatever it takes us to, and I'm not saying it's gonna take
Take our time,
120, but
let's
just
do it right. We're-
that way, we're at least trying to slow, and I'm just throwing it out there. I mean,
I feel like that'd be more of a Randy question because if you try a gate, it's obviously gonna be above our house, which is the last residence on the road, for first responders and everything else, so.
and I'm asking both sides, not just,
Which at that point is all on his property anyways.
I think that would bring out the people that are causing more of the problem. Right? I think. I don't have a problem. No. I can get out of the gate.
And not to be like legalistic here, but I don't think a town can put a gate up until we go through the process of throwing the road up. I mean, I don't think we can throw arbitrarily, maybe some, but we could research that question, but I think we'd have to go through the legal, I don't think we can just throw the gate up on a public, right now it's a public road.
So you guys could probably put up a sign at this point that says no ATVs, at least on the Fairfield end, but it doesn't.
Yeah, don't, put a lot of,
Or go halfway back to the Sheldon line, put one right there.
Turn around here.
don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop, you can't go any further.
Romar up there, they put one on, and it wasn't locked, right?
No, well, it was locked, but then we found that you couldn't have it locked.
Right,
so
we
we
told them
just
you had to leave the
told
gate,
them
but they
lock
put
it.
the gate
They
there.
put it up themselves and
Right.
that stopped a lot of the traffic.
But they couldn't lock it, it had to be so that somebody could open
Was
it.
that on a class 4 road?
That was up in Romar, where it goes back down by George Archambault's.
Well, maybe there's a precedent where it's worked, so.
Because we had them before one time up by past Cabotes, but that was years ago. They were going up there and dumping garbage, and landowners that one they locked. Landowners had key, then of course, eventually somebody just took a pickup, backed into the gate, knocked it down.
I just rode my bike up Castle Road, and I talked to a fella, and they said, there's an old timer, he didn't like anybody going up the road. But after this discussion, after our last meeting, I rode to see, and that is a public trail, and but there's a kind of there's not much action on it, but that's a trail and it's open, and I think that's what you all would hope to have, except you got all this. I do wonder that, I'm curious not to suggest that we'd want to do this, but I'm curious that a town couldn't arbitrarily say, our road is closed. I mean, you see it a lot of times, I think if you all felt one way, you could close your section of the road. But that would be another question. I'd be curious because there could be a landowner that says, I don't want to give up the ability to build a house on this road at some point, like kind of where Dave's, and that's generally what happens. People say, it's my right of way, this is my way to develop my property. And it sounds like that isn't a scenario here. It sounds like, well, then what's the public interest for the town to keep,
I think that's where we need to go. We've heard from landowners, this is a good place to start discussion. Ideally, you guys would just like to be able to say, nobody can use this, stay out of it, put trash in it. We need to decide as select boards, is it in the best interest of the town to consider throwing it up? Like you guys are asking for? Do we sign it? Do we gate it? What are our options? What are the best interests of the towns to move forward? And I think like Seth said, at this point, let's put up some no ATV signs or no through traffic. I don't know what we put up, but.
You can put.
What I'm afraid of there,
What's that?
what I'm afraid of, and
Oh, they're gonna end up in somebody's garage, absolutely.
you're gonna put them there. And that's gonna piss the ATV guys off. A handful, mind you, because a lot of the ATV riders that go through there are respected. There is a handful, I can name 5 right now that I know.
Yeah, you've seen them go down the road, you know which
Yeah.
ones are which.
and they're gonna create problems. And I think by doing that, I think there's gonna be problems.
Any game cameras on this road?
There's gonna be plenty.
I mean, that,
So
you
the
know,
other part of this conversation that Seth kind of alluded to of thinking, taking, time to do it right is, what are those consequences of closing that road down, right?
Yeah.
I know a guy who bought a house that was foreclosed, and it was years ago, and he's still dealing with a teed-off former owner, So I think it's a good time for you guys to have more conversation, look at what your plans are with the land. I mean, it's obvious kind of what you're doing, but what's everybody else's little piece? And, we'll do some research, come back to it and say, these are kind of our options.
No, I only have one last question from my perspective. On that, I got like 6 acres on this little road. If it was thrown up, would I ever be able to build a house on that?
That's the question, yeah.
But that gets into surveyors and lawyers. That's money and how you guys figure out the right of way going forward.
So we can ask the other question, if you built a house on that road, you guys would never bring that road up to a.
Well, that's part of my
Yeah.
holding back, because somebody may own 4 acres up there and want to put a house on it and bring the road up to standards, and all of a sudden Randy says, it's where I want it. That guy's gonna have to be responsible for plowing, maintaining the whole thing. Maybe someday they're gonna want the town to take it over.
So say he was gonna build on that 6 acres, he would be responsible for the infrastructure for the road all the way from Duffy Hill into where his 6 acres was?
Depends on
No,
money,
it-
surveyors and lawyers.
It would have to come, I'd have to.
in planning commissions, and planning boards.
Yeah, because I just border him not very far from the sugar house.
Okay.
I mean, that's happened a couple
So
times.
worst
Yeah.
case,
People have done
have
it,
on the
we
shop
told them,
side.
it's not our problem.
We told people before they built, the town's taking their roads over. Just, they know it, they knew it for the planning commission. No one else, town never taken this road over.
Because half the building, it's not up to standards.
Yeah.
And they go, we have a standard. Obviously, you have price for
And even if they bring it up to standard, doesn't mean we're gonna take it over. Very emphatic about that.
Have you guys, any of you guys talked to any law enforcement or had any conversations with law enforcement?
I have called 3 times,
Who?
state police and the sheriffs. Typically, and I was an employee of the state police at the time, and I had yet to get them to respond on incidents on the road.
So I'm gonna suggest that you call the game warden.
Yeah.
Because the game wardens are the ones that have, right now, money allocated to them to force ATV enforcement. They're they're the ones that are gonna combat it the most. And then if you have your trucks that are going up there in the wee hours of the morning or late at night, again, that's another good one to call a game warden, because they can see multiple things that they may be doing wrong. Obviously leaving maybe garbage behind and doing something else, but I would say get in touch with them. And I can give you his number when you come here.
He left me a message.
Okay.
It would also be helpful if the select board reached out and asked them to respond when
They
there were
did.
issues,
He did.
because,
They did.
not just game wardens, though, state police too.
Good luck with that.
Conversations, like, follow up.
Good luck with that, dealing with state police on anything.
There's no help for them. I mean, it's
I know,
same thing we talked about.
I know.
You guys completed and had contracts and.
I think your best bet is going to be the game wardens.
Yeah, we've offered to have them park in our driveway if they need a place to sit. I mean.
I'll give them a code.
I know one that would probably work with you pretty well.
He would, he contacted me.
Okay.
So as the 2 boards, do we have enough information to do some research, figure out what we want to do? I mean,
I'll give you time, each town probably consult your own town lawyers, see what they're telling us, how we could go about this, or what could happen, not happen, or whatever.
Yes, we'll,
Yep.
we'll find out, and we meet in 2 weeks. and
So
we
maybe,
get
hopefully
some-
we can meet again or something.
Yeah.
One night, worked out. Go to Sheldon, see how the site's down there.
yeah.
But I mean,
Closer to home.
we all
A little
want to
tighter in there than here. You guys have much more room.
But, I mean, let's meet again and let's see if we can get this thing taken care of so everybody comes up reasonably happy with it. I'm sure there's gonna be some that won't, no matter what we do. So, that's just part of the game.
And on that note, we got our own meeting to get.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, I got one little little input, one little off the agenda. The rail trail going by your historical society. You ought to put a pay for use toilet on that thing.
You guys, thank you.
I mean, that historical building is beautiful, but there's gonna be a lot of traffic. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people. Pay to have a nice clean toilet, put a nickel, dollar, whatever. I don't know, it's a great location.
One for lack of money, great location, it's $1.
Steve, you need to need to make a motion to close our portion of this meeting before we go over and start it.
You open it up, so you can make it.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to close our section of the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Discussion.
We can witness it for you and the camera.
Yeah, it's still rolling.
Yeah.
Joe's got our notes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, yeah. Hopefully we get this thing separated out. So people are reasonably happy with it.
Customers coming in, I guess.
Oh, nice to see you all.
You as well.
Yeah.
I've been here all the time, if the cows would have cooperated.
My kids are just as bad.
They usually don't, so.
We figured you were on the right time.
I don't think they solve one of those.
Minutes. Is there another agenda around there, guys? Someone?
Thank you, gentlemen.
You guys see it?
Thank you. See you later.
See ya.
Have a good one, nice to see you.
There.
I didn't want to put the warrants on the table, all of this here, but here's the accounts payable, and we have 2 payroll warrants. One happened in between these meetings, so.
We'll let you up here, Mo, so you won't fall asleep over there.
He's thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, Julie, why don't you start right up and.
I'm on the agenda for the rail trail.
Yeah, so one of the items is the rail trail, we can start.
Yeah, we can do that. We can move you up.
We don't have to go nowhere. We never do.
We're flexible. We're flexible.
So I didn't bring it up, but there's a parallel road that connects Sheldon and Fairfield to that road. You know, this sharp corner of Kittel Road comes in about Tiffany's. It's another.
Oh, that little short one that goes
It's
over.
not short, it's a couple miles.
Not the one that goes up to, when you say Tiffany's, you're talking down below?
No,
Or where the farm is?
at where the farm is.
Right there by the corner.
Right.
Yeah, so, and we own the house on the corner.
Right.
And Tiffany's on one side of the road, we own part of the other side of the road.
Just 1 page each.
But it's a different road.
Yeah.
Different condition.
We'll take care of one problem at a time.
That's right.
You are.
So maybe you could explain.
Yeah, so we did talk a little bit in the last meeting about the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail grant that's coming up. And the select board had requested that I do a little research on it. So what I found out is that there is no limit to the grant award request, but there's a 20% match for the community, which could be ARPA funds. It can be used for feasibility scoping studies, but that does not, that option does not have a followed grant round being considered right now. So there it might be like a path to nowhere. The project design and construction option, if we decide on a project for this, it could be used for construction, engineering, project development and management, construction management, inspection, all the nuts and bolts. And this grant is available this year because the rail trail is coming to a place of wanting municipalities to be involved. So that's where we are. And the select board had wondered if they should apply or not. Julie heard, and she's here to talk about some options or some ideas.
Yeah, I guess my thought would be, I mean, I know you talked about another site that maybe could provide access for the public to the rail trail, but my my thoughts concern, the property you have where the community center is and developing that as an access point. And you could improve traffic flow, parking, recreational opportunities.
Didn't we just give you $60,000?
Yes, no, this isn't for the community center. This is your property.
No, this is.
I brought this up before, it's like this rail trail thing.
This
I
is
don't
just-
want it costing the town money in the future.
Right.
That's my big thing on this, and I know when stuff starts, off
Yeah.
it goes, and then you pay
Access
the
points
freight.
lead to the same discussion we just had.
Yep.
Yeah. But I didn't know if, there's no plan. And I was gonna propose that we use this money for a plan, and how that gets developed, whether it's town resources or community resources, at least we have, a plan to go by. So that was where I was coming from. I don't want to be responsible for.
Yeah. No, this
Personally-
is.
no, not me
yeah, This is
personally,
just a
but-
community member comment, I think.
I'm reluctant to write a grant for projects at this point, for anything, because I understand the town's position that it's much easier to do it yourself and get funds, public funds, because there's too many strings attached. But I think if we had a plan, then we could work on it piecemeal, in whatever form. We meaning the community. And we could get more players involved.
Whatever happened with the tax sale on that property, John Souls over there?
I'm not sure about what the tax sale status is, do you?
He doesn't sign for his mail, so it's hard to have
Right,
a
but
tax sale when the problem is that Tim doesn't want to go forward because,
Tim's our attorney.
yes. So I told him, because if it doesn't go forward, he doesn't get paid. And I said, the select board wants this done, so build the select board for your time that you're putting into this. And that was a couple weeks ago, so I told him to send John the letter.
And that building's on state land, right?
Yes.
So the state, does he pay the state anything, do you know, the rent?
I don't know. It's sort of this,
Well, they're playing hardball with everybody up and down that trail. For, like, Bruce Brandon had a little sap building that was a few feet on it, and they're charging him $300 a year to get to it. So I'm thinking if John's not paying the town tax on the building itself, it's not paying the state rent on the property itself. The state should be able to be involved in this thing and say, hey, either get it together or get out.
and nobody seems to know the right entity for that. Nobody, because I've looked into the state saying, this building is on your property, he's not paying taxes. Because if it was on the town's property, he wasn't paying taxes, it'd end up being the town's. The state I went in circles all the way around on people who said, oh, try this person. And it never went anywhere. And we have two people that want the building right now.
So can I ask a clarifying question? If this is right off the rail trail?
Right off the rail trail, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
It may be better to just get rid of it. If you're looking for an access point, that's about as perfect a spot.
Well,
as
that
mine.
building, if that building wasn't there, that would be a perfect parking lot.
That building's falling down anyway.
So that kind of question, that kind of research, that kind of work, just legwork to get something like this solid would be a great feasibility and scoping study. And it would be a grant funded, it could be grant funded all of the time.
Right, but how long is this grant thing? I mean, you apply, how long were you looking at? 6 months,
So
8
we
years?
have, no, it's just this, it's like 1 year, it's a 1 year thing. And there is a meeting coming up, this week that we had to sign up for if we thought we needed to, for a project. I wasn't sure if we'd have one or not. So I did sign up for a 7 o'clock meeting with V-Trans, and it's with Northwest Regional Planning to talk about if we have an idea, ask them questions, what could be, what could it be used for, how long would we be able to, they would actually also help with writing the grant.
Well, I'm thinking that point right there makes more sense for an access point to that rail trail when it goes directly by it. And it's, right now, the building's basically abandoned, or has been for.
But it's technically still owned.
Right, it's abandoned because of that lack of paying the taxes on it.
Yeah, and everything is a game with him.
No, but there's gotta be a way legally of saying if he doesn't decide for it, you just notify him whatever, an abstention, and you take legal actions. There's gotta be some way of handling
Can you
this
have them
thing.
served?
Forcing him to do something.
So I could ask if we can if this grant can cover legal costs related to this type of project, if you'd like.
Yeah, that's something of that
Yeah,
nature.
secure the building. I mean, you've said it twice, Gavin, you know, like, if it's a good access, let's do it. I think that thing's gonna be a big deal.
Missed the opportunity at the
Could be a
tax
big
sale
deal.
when the town didn't bid on it.
Well, yeah, but here we are.
Now, how did that work? Because he had signed for the letter for that one?
No, but it's still, at least the town would have their foot.
So you have
in the door
another
with that.
tax sale, and the town bids on it. It's another way of doing it.
Or try to deal with John Soul himself.
So would you also want, legal
Because if
costs-
the town owned it, the taxes get abated.
So legal costs for securing a tax sale, and then any of the costs that might be related to, are you thinking potentially a parking lot? Is that
Well, if you did
what-
parking lot, you're gonna have to tear that building down, so you know the costs associated with that. Because that's just
Does
it's all
any-
pillars, right?
Anybody have a relationship with him that they could deal with him?
Not too many I know of.
I don't think anybody would. And technically, the railroad has a 50-foot right-of-way on each side of the track, so I mean, you would have, even on Mr. White's driveway, I think it's part of the.
Yeah, and the land it's not town land. The building is John Soul's building, but it's on
State land.
state land.
And I just know the way these guys have operated with other people along that rail trail. Boy, if there isn't right of ways and if it isn't needed out.
Let me ask
Maybe the
Tracy.
state could say,
That's what I'm saying.
I bet they own more than that right there.
Yeah.
I think I bet it's, I don't know.
They own
right
66
Pretty-
feet
it's
where
pretty
they,
wide.
66 feet where they seized the land, and it's anywhere up to 200 feet where they bought it down.
So let me ask two questions. We're talking about doing an access point where that building is.
Yeah, just a possible spot for
Right.
access for,
So John Soul owns the building.
owns the building,
The
leases the
state
land.
owns the land.
Yeah,
So we have nothing. I mean, we can go to the state and say, we'd like this chunk of land to make
well,
an
back
access.
taxes on the property. It's been, how long's it been since they've been paid?
Back taxes on
On the building,
the building, right?
right?
Because we're not charging the state taxes.
No,
correct?
no, you can't charge state taxes.
so you get back property
So-
taxes on the building.
We should make a connection to the state and say, if we can get possession of this building, get rid of it off your land, can we make an access
Make an
point?
access point for this rail trail. there.
Right, because
They
if we
need to
can't do
ask.
that, there's no point in,
Then it could be managed by the state, right?
Well, it's more worse for them too, because you got two that, you got Route 36 that goes on the edge of it.
What's the delinquent, how much is delinquent?
How much is delinquent?
Thousands of dollars, couple thousand?
Hold on.
but that's what I'm saying, we might as well reach out to the state
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
1,500.
and find out.
But it's, of tax, it's 1,100, the rest is fees and interest, but if the town acquired it, that'll, you know, you have to, there's no taxes on town property.
But if they're throwing money out to make access places for this rail trail and stuff, they may help take the building
Well, if
down. It's
that
not a
buil-
very valuable building.
No,
And that building is on their property.
Right.
right, but that's what I'm saying, before we can do anything, let's find out if they'll work with us if we get the building.
So all of the research, any time that you would spend on this, any time that I would spend on this, any time that legally we would spend on this, that would all be able to be covered by this grant. So if you would like, I would be happy to touch base with them on Thursday and let them know that this is the idea and see what they say. And then I'll bring that back.
You need a motion? I think it's great, I mean, why not? Yeah.
Just, I don't think we need a motion, I think we just need
No, I
some
just need a direction.
direction, tell Kathy this is what we'd like to pursue.
I didn't know what acreage was there, how much parking, I mean, is it-
You're talking, if you took the building itself down,
yeah.
I don't think it's unrealistic, say 10, 15 cars, would you? So then something in that range.
Well, it depends how much
How much
you can go on
right-of-way.
each side of the trail.
Right,
I mean,
right.
depends what the rail trails, right away.
Right away is there.
I mean, yeah, who over purpose the Route 36, I mean, Route 36 is 33 feet, so.
Right.
So how
Yeah.
does,
I
who
mean, you
does,
might wanna look at that too.
Sometimes you have to be, sometimes the railroad actually owns the road. So,
Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah.
well, because they always maintain all the crossings, right? When you go,
No,
when they
yeah,
go,
right.
they used to go across the
I-
crossing.
I've dealt with that for years and years, and most places, the railroad actually owns the right of way through the road.
Yeah.
The state don't own the road.
Yeah.
But the state does in this case, because they're the ones that own the railroad.
Yeah, but I was just saying, like, where the parking lot would be, I mean, Route 36 is right away, plus the
Right.
rail trail is right
If
away.
it worked, if you're looking long term, it makes perfect sense for it to be there.
Yeah.
It makes the most sense of anywhere. They could easily be plowed, easily maintained, just get the building out of the way.
Yeah.
But something we'll have to investigate.
Yeah, and I don't know how much, like by the old lumber store, who owns all that,
Yeah, again.
space there?
Right, I don't know.
I don't know if that's White's or if that goes to Lumbers or, there's room for, 5 or 6 car, 10 cars there.
Right.
Yeah.
Cause part of that's the town road, right? Down into White's,
I believe it was part way.
yeah, down to the barn, I think, or
Have
something.
to look on that map.
Yeah, so that's part of
Kathy,
the
do you have
research.
access to the Valmax?
The town road of, which town road?
They call it White Drive or something.
Whiteland Dairies Road.
Whiteland Dairies Road.
Something like that.
Whiteland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Can you get the Valmax to the railroad or the state trail?
Can I what?
Get the Valmax from the state? I guarantee you they get the maps
Of the trail?
of the property at the end.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
First thing is, I want to see if we can if we do start doing this research, I'd really like to be able to get us paid to do that research. So before I start digging into that, I mean, this is up to you, I think, because you're my bosses, but I think it would be wise to go to this meeting, see if we could get paid to do all this research, and then start charging. But,
Yeah, let's find out what's realistic if we're just blowing wind here.
Yeah.
See if
Okay.
it's possible to do.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I noticed that you're here. We also wanted to talk to you, Molly has a question about using this space, so that's why there's a.
Hey, I just signed, before we do anything, I just signed a Pavilion 25K.
Mhm.
How's it going?
It's going, we're having a meeting tomorrow with Jim just about the site and grading. But it's going along.
Good.
Yep. Updates on other things. The pizza oven is in but not set up. We've got playground improvements going. West End construction will start October 5th for redesigning the West End building. What was the other?
Flower beds?
Cause the pad's in, right? The pad is in.
Yes, the cement is poured. Yeah.
I never saw him compact stone, but I'm sure he must.
Yeah, they did. I think they did.
I mean, times I went by, he was just dumping and I never saw a compactor there.
Yeah, I think the concrete folks did that.
Yeah, he's got 2 feet, should have been compacted on layers, cause otherwise it's gonna settle.
I'll ask that tomorrow. Thanks for that input. But we're progressing on things, and thanks again. I mean, it's really nice to make improvements.
And all the paperwork, Kathy, we're up to date with all the.
Yeah, so the Northwest Regional Planning Commission is on board to do all of the work that has to do with managing the grant. And then Green Dolphin is taking care of the kind of accounts management and clerk of the works. I get invoices, give them to you, and send them off. That's all I do at this point, which is great. It's been working well.
It seems to be working. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Julie.
Yeah.
Catch you later.
Yeah.
See how this progresses.
So, Molly, actually, if we're entertaining guests still, do we want to do that? So
Well,
Molly,
Linda, how much have you got? You got a lot of.
Well, Morris is more important than me.
Yeah.
He's the one that gets up earlier than I do.
Well, he's out talking on his phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
so we're gonna, yeah.
Rob said, our cemetery mowing guy, it would be $150 per mow trim, because there's a lot of stones at Bradley. So then I said, well, how much, is that a season? And he said, 12 mows per season. So I thought it was $1,800, but I'm not seeing that on here in front of me. But anyway, there's still been more complaints about Bradley, because when I was here, 3 weeks ago, Bill said he was gonna do it that week. Apparently that week didn't come yet. Someone else.
Now.
What's that?
It's mowed now.
Okay, so Avi Mori came in the other day and I said, he needs to give us his financials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So-
he called me, or I was talking to him, and I told him the same thing. He said that Bill told him he didn't have much money, but he just was leery about, well, I guess, it's been in the family for a long while, but like Avi told him, he said, you can't do it, it's not.
Right, they as an association have got to make up their minds, and then they gotta come to us. I mean,
Right, that's what I told him.
Yeah, that's
And Avi said he's gonna get after him, because,
Yeah. they need to harass them to get them to say, hey, it's time to move on.
that's the only time it's been mowed, just this last weekend.
Yeah, so, because when Avi came in, and we've had 2 other phone calls about it too, or in between time, and I said, that's the procedure. He hasn't come in and presented the financials.
Can we send him a letter and just, so
We
there's
did
no.
that.
We've sent them.
We did it this spring.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it, okay.
And every other cemetery, they've been coming in glad to get things worked out, so they're getting mowed.
I didn't know if we had just reached
No.
out to him or if we'd sent something just so.
No,
we
same
could
as we
say-
did the others.
Okay.
Yeah, he was supposed to come to the meeting last fall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What-
In the spring, this spring when we were doing bids.
Yeah, so, the welcome to Fairfield sign on the school property, the corner on 36, the hand-painted sign. They wanna know who's responsible, it needs to be painted.
School,
Good answer.
it's on their property.
Well, it's town's property, honey.
No,
So,
that's a school's property.
Who put it up? They did, right?
They put it up, that's school property, that's not town property.
okay,
It belongs to Maple Run, that property. The park is leased back to the playground is leased back to the town somehow. But it's leased back, they actually own it, I believe. We need to check into that, make sure who's,
yeah, I think it's town property. The school,
I don't think so. I think you're gonna find it's part of that whole Maple Run thing now. Well, we need to check it, research it, and see who actually owns it.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
according
no.
to what I see, I thought, but.
It's possible, I'm not sure who put that in.
I think he did.
Yeah, I'm just thinking they probably, when they did the whole
It's a great
playground, they
art
put it in.
project, tell them they can have.
Well, I was thinking,
Miss
I
Brown
told
and-
last fall it came up and I suggested to Brenda she have Rebecca repaint it because she's such a good artist, but
Eagle badges are, that's one of their topics that they can choose is welcome to town.
Oh, is that right?
Mhm.
so, then, on to other things.
Well, maybe you should find out for sure how well that is owned, because it's,
Yeah, well, exactly, I mean, but the sign, you didn't put up, the town didn't put up the sign.
we never put the sign up.
So the school put up the sign, so, but it says welcome to Fairfield, so it's a reflection on
I think Albert put it up.
Albert Tetra. And Albert, can you come fix the sign? So I signed up for a training and then I get a info and reminders, please bring a laptop and charger. They never said this when I signed up for this training that I signed up to go to. There is not a laptop in the office for Kathy and I to use when we need things like this.
No money in the budget.
That comes out of your town clerk's budget.
So I
We'll
asked,
split the cost.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, I don't think that we have any, with the upgrades to all of the, computer stuff that we put into the budget this year, that line is pretty much gone. We did establish a computer, upgrades line in the ARPA budget, and that, the amount that you awarded is now also paid out. So in terms of technology upgrades at this point, we don't have it in in the operating budget.
Capital improvement funds or something like that.
What are you looking at? What kind of money you talking?
First of all, how often do you need a laptop?
Well-
Not like to be a ding, but there's a lot of stuff that you guys do that I don't want floating around.
No, I
It
don't,
wouldn't leave, I don't think it would leave.
well, it would go to meetings like this, but town meeting day, it would be very helpful to be off-site and be able to get the updates from the Secretary of State's office when people can go on and register to vote and then show up. So there are, there is a use for a laptop.
Not against that, I'm just
We just would have to go through Matt to get a quote for it because it's gotta be specific for needs and, it could also, would be used at meetings for presentations and.
Why don't you get a quote from and come back to another meeting about it?
Okay. So, good news is delinquent is down to 13,753 total, so that's pretty low. And so far we've taken in $305,000 in current taxes.
That sounds better than not.
Well, the bills went out and it's been coming in pretty steady, so.
How much, Linda?
How much? 305,000. Over 305,000 has come in. And the delinquent is down to 13,753, so there's only a handful of people on the delinquent list, so.
Frequent flyers.
Well, not necessarily, but,
Have you got any more for us? We'll move this
no,
along.
is that enough?
It should work. So, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
See you.
Has everybody met Molly Huff? She lives right next door.
Well, it looks
I
like,
haven't been- I meant to go down
abutments
today.
are there. I went by Sunday, both abutments are all up.
Avenue
Yeah.
Mall.
I would say they're
Have
right
you met?
in debt.
Yes.
Where have we met?
You were walking on the Castle Road.
Oh, great. And you're.
He was trying to pick you up?
No, he was chopping some wood. We're going out to chop some wood, right?
Yep.
Well, that's what he said.
Molly and her husband live right
What have you
across
guys,
the
I don't
parking
know
lot.
who it is, but what have you guys met my husband? He's into old cars. He stopped.
Yeah, it was up to Carl's one day. He came
Is that
in.
you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Like the looks of his old 52 Chevy convertible.
yeah, he sold his GMC.
He did.
He did.
Mm.
Some young man over in Ohio wanted it desperately.
More than he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he just bought another one.
Hey, you got to have replacements.
So excited, like I'm gonna get a driveway once again.
Well, these things happen.
So Molly has filled out a Chester A. Arthur room rental agreement, and she would like to be able to borrow this space for her yoga classes. And for me, it brought up just a few questions about the room rental agreement and the rental policy, because it says certain things that I'm not sure if we're actually following them, and I just needed to verify with you about this. So one of the things is, the second bullet says that the room is available for business meetings only. And it seemed to me like since I've been here, it's prioritized business meetings, but I'm not sure if it was only business meetings. So is that?
I wouldn't say so, because it seems like somebody else had yoga in here for a while, right?
Yeah. And
Years
Molly
ago.
actually borrowed, but she used it last year.
Right, but before that, I mean, like,
There was a yoga class, because some of the students who are coming to me now took yoga classes here.
yeah. I can't remember who conducted them.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So do we want to change that bullet to say the room is available, prioritizes business meetings? Would that work for you?
I don't know what the policy says. I haven't seen
It says the room is available for business meetings only, as a policy.
So business meetings, so what is that, not trying to, but what does it open the door, where do you draw the line, right?
I think the reason behind it, if I remember right, Tom, wasn't it so some people didn't want to have like a small wedding reception here. and
Well, that's
stuff,
what I'm
so
thinking.
We
Somebody-
didn't want to get into that whole game. Of,
Unicycles and pogo sticks.
Yep.
Is
So
that what you're looking for?
I think
It's about time.
you could say prioritize business meetings.
Thank you, Linda.
Then
Thank
we
you,
also
Linda.
So it also later says up to the discretion of the
So,
select board.
yeah, I think that was thrown in afterwards.
If
So
you just say prioritizes, I think that would cover.
then you have the option of approving or disapproving whoever you want.
I mean, different private people have rented it too for a meeting and stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah, they've had crop meetings here. There's been other meetings like
I
that.
mean, we have had meetings here.
Yeah.
So the other questions are, there's a $25 fee to use the room on this. And I was curious if that's every time, or is that over the course of the whole time that a person uses it, if they come in multiple times?
I would think per time.
Per time.
Lights and
Right.
maintain
Paying the
it.
right, electricity and plus having Carrie still clean the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're paying for that. I don't think that's outrageous to.
Well, plus somebody's gotta come open it too, right?
So that's the third question. The third question is, and we talked a little bit about this, but I don't remember that I'm not sure what we agreed on, so I'd like to see if we can just get this written in here somehow. On the rental agreement, it says, just in turn, that the town administrator and the select board are responsible for approving the use of the room. But who manages the space and who uses the keys, and what do you wanna do about that? So the last meeting, we talked about if a person wants to use the space, somebody with a key needs to be present, which this would be after hours. So I wouldn't, unless I was taking the class, I wouldn't be here necessarily. And I think last year, Melissa offered, but, again, is it a requirement? Is it by offer? If it, do we share keys? Do we not share keys? How do we go about doing that?
I'm not sure how they did it in the past. Did you lock up before and set the alarm systems, Melissa? Because that was one of the biggest worries, wasn't it? The alarm system wouldn't get set right now.
Well, just to make sure that everything's closed.
Yeah.
When did your classes multiple?
I think last year I was doing when you were offering the driver's ed.
I've started again.
Yeah,
Tuesday, Thursday.
Tuesdays from,
through.
it would just be Tuesdays from 6:30 to 7:30, because I have another class on Thursday
Yeah,
night.
so I'm here every Tuesday through the first week in November.
Is this door accessible here?
It actually, it's accessible only if somebody unlocks the front and comes and unlocks that. I don't have a key to that door.
Let's lock this door.
And there's no
Sign.
bathroom.
There's no bathroom in this room. It's-
Which her house is right next door.
Well,
That
honestly,
doesn't
I've been teaching at the Soul House Bar, and there's no bathroom there, so they're all trained that they have to go to the bathroom before they come, so.
So do you want to go with locking this building from the rest of the building? What was it?
It locks from outside this door, but not from, like, you can't lock it.
That's not really, this one.
The town clerk's offices are always locked, right?
The town clerk's offices and my offices.
Your offices and the
You don't
listers.
need to
Yeah, you'd have to make sure.
We don't
it's
have
locked.
Lister's office locked, and we don't
There's a key to
have
this door.
Melanie's office locked, which are pretty important pieces.
Is there a reason they
We
can't be
should
locked?
be able to lock it, but we don't have locking ability on those.
So it's a case of changing those lock sets.
I think it is, yeah.
I guess. If we could do it without the bathroom, which is inconvenient, but it's easy, you don't have to worry. This room can be locked there and there.
And the alarm would not go off or all that?
If it's when I'm here, why?
It wouldn't, yeah, if
Yeah.
you were here, it wouldn't be an issue.
So I'm here.
But you would be downstairs, and so it's not really about you more than it's about, I wanna make sure that we have a kind of a set precedent when it comes to keeping things safe, because it's come up before.
Yeah, making sure the place gets locked up tight when
Right.
people leave.
Right.
Yeah, alarm is reset.
And the alarms would be set.
But
So-
if Melissa is here.
I mean, I own
I've had 3 different studios for the last 20 years in Rochester, New York, so I've locked up many buildings and set many alarms, so.
So it may also be, in signing below, it says, I agree to abide by the above noted conditions, and I will leave the chest ray Arthur in the same condition that I found it, acknowledging that I am responsible should any damage occur. We could expand that. I will, while I'm at something, we can say something about the rest of the building, or we can say something that, you know.
I mean, if you can lock that, you can go in and out that one.
Yeah.
I don't know how to set that, I don't know what kind of a job it is that, because Melissa's not here to set the alarm system, but.
So for now, how about we just, we'll approve this contract with you, does that sound okay? And then with Melissa, it sounds like you're gonna be here anyway, so
I'm here.
this is, you know, it's kind of supervised-ish, I think. But the next meeting, I could draft something, just one more bullet that says something to the effect of, that addresses keys, right, and security. And then in signing below, this person is acknowledging that they're responsible for keys and security, or locking and security, if that's part of it.
Works for me.
Okay.
Gentlemen happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get it going.
Okay, thank you. I'll sign this and you're all set.
Okay, so I'm gonna work off her schedule, right? For
Yep.
time.
For now, yes.
Okay, so I still have your number.
I just checked, I have yours.
Yeah, so I'll text you.
Mo, you awake?
Just about.
Well, get your buns up here, let's keep this thing rolling.
Great.
Thank you for coming.
You're
Mom.
welcome.
I just wanted to have
Nice to meet you all.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Rob.
right.
Good luck.
And you could keep everything else locked.
Yeah.
And honestly, I may take your class, so once in a while, there's a possibility here too.
So what good news you got for us, Mo?
Anybody been down to North Road, got covered in? And I bought a proposal from Hunkerford Paving on to pave the blacktop. 2-inch base with inch top, and the total is $13,500.
This is to do over the top like.
Yeah.
1,300?
$13,500.
Did you have to cut that much out?
It's 137. Actually, that's what I was measuring tonight. I told them 140 by 22. It's 22 and a half.
So they do take that old pavement out?
Yeah. And we could, because what we're doing there, we could use the pavement for the fill on the sides.
So how far, like, on the cost estimate and whatever in that state, how are we rolling on that?
Yeah, how much is that costing us?
13,500.
That should be okay. So at this point, I'm not sure how many more invoices are coming in, but to date, in this AP, you'll see that the North Road project, we spent $32,257 out of our $52,257 grant. And yeah, so there is some money, and there has to be and there's a percentage of that, that's your time, that'll already be calculated as the match, so this number that's already spent doesn't include their time yet.
Then we got the guide rails going up, and I got a quote of 4,500, but we got the guide rails. And then I ain't gonna call back yet, 'cause I told him, I said that, I told him how many feet we took down, and I think the guy thought we were putting up new. I
Yeah.
ain't for sure yet.
Right, you can reuse the ones you took out, right?
Yeah.
Just need to end.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
down
down
the
there,
road.
put them out. Well, work with them, man, you know, for traffic control and help.
Sorry, it's $39,000 in invoices for North Road at this point.
That's.
So you're gonna do all the
Yeah, we're gonna send it to Greg.
Jeff Corey, I believe he did, yeah.
And he told me
And I
this,
think that's in this
so we'll do our 3-inch and 6 feet back, just, you know, make a taper for traffic.
Yeah.
And they'll come in the next day and pave it. I asked him when, he said, week or so.
Think it's settled enough?
Was the other one as bad as you feared when you got it on?
Yeah. Yeah, it was bottom.
So, do you,
Is that the only one you got, or that's the only one you have available?
Yeah. Pike and then
Was
we
he,
talked over.
was he busy too, probably?
Yeah, they give him a jingle, sort of that.
He's a little pricey, but that's probably, if he's gonna do it right off, better to.
or something you want to definitely get done before winter, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And sooner than later, it's get cooler all the time, so I'll make a motion.
Someone second that motion to accept Hungerford's bid for paving on the
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Alright.
Anyone opposed? Not, that one's settled. Guess send it back down and we'll be wind up with that.
maybe,
Hungerford David.
maybe some.
Okay, what else you got, Mo? See, you got the black truck back. The little
Yeah.
Ford.
Yeah, actually, we ended up taking it to, Hayes, where we got the truck, and, they went through it, and they were very, I didn't see no bill on it. I went up, picked up on a Saturday, so they just, I told me the key, some squirt and thought I did, and went up, picked up Saturday.
Were they trying to get it under warranty?
The mechanic went through it and they were very happy to, he didn't see what they saw down there for corrosion, they were happy with it. And, they just cleaned things up and put it back together and recommend not to, spend the $4,500 to change it.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. So, he paid us to drive a hell or half up,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that's a bit of good. How about the
Yeah.
new truck?
New truck, James went down Friday. Hitch is on, wing tower. But this week they're supposed to be putting a dump on. And then they would be going to the, get painted.
So definitely should have it by snow season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they said, I think Sandy said last week of this month. So I'll be putting the check and request in the next AP.
They just wanted our input on some things, and so James went down and he was impressed how far they were on it.
And the other one's still in fair shape. Have you used that much of some?
No, a few times, that's it.
Yeah. Keep it out of trouble.
Yeah. I don't know, they'd be hauling for that, cause they gotta take it down there and go through it. The, Rug Road, we did some ditching over there and shoulder work. Gillen Road, put a culvert in. Dug out some of those stones in Mill Road.
You ever got level that up, going up that hill by Genesis?
No, we're gonna try and work our way there soon, but, yeah, so,
What road did you take out? Stones?
Gillen,
Yellow?
yeah.
I wonder if any of those upgrades can be used, that we can chart them as, on the map for our road, what's it called, the hydrologically connected roads.
Yeah, I don't know how to talk to Bethany about that. Where
Okay,
the
I'll
roads
talk
are.
to her.
I get confused on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a connecting road, right? With Fairfax.
So,
That
no,
Gillen Road
connected
is.
road, but, the streams and stuff.
Yeah, it's about the streams and the inventory. I'll ask her. Thank you.
Sidewalk sweeper plow.
Yeah, I just had to have that.
Yeah. You get to spend that commission yet?
I don't see a commission. I hope you guys. I just sent him a text and I was taking 20% off.
We got a bill on it, and she talked to him, I don't know how she turned it down.
They said that they spent 102 hours they
That's
totally-
2.5 weeks?
They took apart the entire thing in order to replace the pieces that needed to be replaced because of where it was located. That's what they said. So the invoice was high, and it just
What was it, 8,200? Was that
something like
right?
that. Something like that. I don't remember.
2.5
exactly.
weeks to get a part out.
Yeah.
And
8288.
that's what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I didn't know.
So they said, they basically said that the reason that it took so long is because they had to disassemble basically the entire thing in order to get to the part that was broken.
And we got the bill, so we just trying to get things picked up and done today, so sent the truck down to get it. They got down there with Jacob, and there's still one part they gotta put on there. Ain't came in yet. We're supposed to be done this week.
And what was this part that was sold?
It was the wiring harness. I know there's something about a wiring harness. I don't know, you can say that.
I don't have it.
They started fixing the wiring harness and decided it was better off to replace it. The salt would just eat it up.
A little bit of salt they used on the sidewalks here, or where it previously came from?
I told you should just buy it and get rid of it the next spring.
Yeah. Well, you got your sidewalks, that's what happens.
Free money, we're paying for it now.
Yeah. You start walking those sidewalks more too, David, use them.
I don't walk it further than I have to.
Put your four-wheeler on them.
Oh, God.
What's your take on that thing? It's got new wires now. Can we get more life out of it, or is it rotten, falling apart? Is it handy?
You gotta have it because of sidewalks. What is the right answer? I can't tell you.
The broom was nice this summer when they did the blacktops. If the wire and that gets us another couple of years.
Yeah, we just got $8,200 into it.
Yeah. You're not gonna get that out of it.
No.
So you might as well keep it till it breaks again and then take your losses. Run it till run it in the ground.
Run direct wires off the batteries.
Because like I said, we put a wire where we could use it, but we couldn't run it that way.
Yeah.
Because we had some safety switches we had to go by, and just something happened. Tell them to cost them a lot more for these.
What else you got, Mo?
That's it.
So Mo and we had talked also about there's a grant coming in, the stormwater mitigation project grant through V-Trans, and it can be used for culvert replacement and resizing if the project will allow for stormwater mitigation, and it's due on October 7th. So I wasn't sure if we had an idea for what we might be able to, or if we wanted to go for that grant.
Dave talked to me about you. I thought you said something about flood or something.
Yeah, stormwater mitigation. So yeah, it's any environmental mitigation activity that prevents pollution and mitigates stormwater management, control, and water pollution prevention. So they just don't want runoff from floods to go into the rivers.
So I don't know who Bethany you talked to about that, or because on the Brusso Road.
Brusso?
Road. But it ain't. You said culvert replacement. It ain't culvert. It's same thing we did on the Rug Road. Ryan Perry. Yeah.
You mean blacktopping the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because that's where it does.
It moves all the gravel and dirt sends it downstream.
Yeah.
So by blacktopping it holds it in place.
And then you put stones.
Right, along the edges.
On the, where it comes off the blacktop.
Yeah.
It's worked, you know, it worked twice.
Worked two good places and where they really were always wearing out.
It was Jim Smith, the one that designed that.
Yeah.
A Phoenixburg where he first bought the post road, that's where they first.
I mean, that would be flood mitigation pollution.
So we have.
That's what I was kind of steering.
Trying to, I don't really know all of the terminology in this, so is this rural separators, permeable pavers, infiltration basins?
Well, you got two examples to show them if you talk that Bethany.
Let me give, I think it's not Bethany, this is V-Trans, so I'll talk to,
We got two instances, we've done it previous and it worked.
okay,
Yes.
okay. So it
Whoever we
mitigates.
gotta get hold of, I think it'd be a good spot to
Okay, thank you for looking into that, I appreciate it.
give us some money target.
All right, so then, the other thing is that you asked about the Chester A. Arthur Bridge last time. And I will know more by the next meeting. The bridge was nominated by the Transportation Advisory Committee for priority in March. NRPC is meeting with V-Trans on tomorrow morning, to find out if it was selected this year. And if so, it will enter the scoping phase for the state's next capital program. So that's where we are at that one. So it was nominated as priorities, but I don't know if it's been chosen. And the only other road update is about Jouer, just that we are, where is it? I don't know what I did with it. Well, we're in a place where they did the backfill today. They're waiting for the deck will be arriving on Friday. They expect to be out of the river by October 1st, but they're pretty sure that they're not gonna have the whole thing completed until October 21st-ish. So that's basically where we are with them. What was that?
I went by Sunday, I'd say they're ready for the deck, but
Yeah. They did.
what are they gonna do underneath?
They did the backfill Sunday and Monday, so they.
No, I was there late and nobody was there working.
Oh, okay, well, I went over today and it was.
They probably did it yesterday.
Backfill was
Or
done.
today.
So they don't think that they're gonna be doing very much, just some, I don't have my notes on this, but they do have a couple small things that they think they're gonna need to do. I can't remember.
What'd they ever do with those irons that they didn't use?
I just talked about it today because when they brought brought 5 up to the, where that's their side, he pounded those in, but they both have brought them same time and then both them over the garage, but I'll have to talk to Matt about it. See what
Find out where those went or where they've gone.
Yeah.
Something I can use somewhere.
Right. Told them, because we already, it's in the grant, we paid for it, or
Yeah.
FEMA thing, so. I'll get a hold, I'm gonna try to get up there and see him tomorrow, I'll go up and see him tomorrow, he's there. Don't wanna call him,
Okay.
wanna get him here.
The lot striping, I don't know if you want, you asked me to find out about lot striping, for the front and the back, and also for the pond. And, just in terms of timing, the library is also looking at restriping theirs to accommodate for the broken curb, and moving the handicap spot to a different location so that people stop tripping on it. And, that would be selected by the trustees, but I put it in the bid as part of what we need done in the municipality. They would choose that, that part of it. So I connected with Mike at Scott's Line Striping, and he called back and thinks that he could do it this fall, and he's gonna be sending a quote. I also called Mountain Line Striping, True Line Painters, Lot Lines of Vermont, Seal All Asphalt, and nobody else has called me back.
Who'd we have before? Do you know?
It was Mike, it was Scott's Line.
It was?
Yep. And that's why he thinks he can do it this time, because he knows the
What's
lines,
it
he
do?
knows the measurements, he knows,
And he's gonna give you a quote?
he's gonna get a quote.
Good enough.
There's 2 occupancy forms that need to be signed. One is for an above ground wire for the Vermont Electric Co-op, and one is below ground. The below ground one, I had the property owner also sign an agreement for entry, which is the form that you have that says that they're gonna take liability. They're gonna be responsible for repairs up to a year. So I brought those with us.
That's the one up, they're doing 2 houses up on, those 2 lots going up on Mount. Yeah, I don't know where the overhead one is.
So the Darlene Perino
Yeah.
is on Ryan Road, and the above ground one is Carly Clayton, and that is on Pumpkin Village Road. And I have a picture if you want to look at it.
Well,
But I'm gonna need
PVC pipe has gone nuts, you know?
That's what he's
Oh,
saying.
underground. $51 for a 10-foot section for 2.5.
So the co-op sent over a form for all of the select board to sign, as well as the road commission. So I think that might be you. I don't know. So I can send this around if you're.
They have to.
They can maintain it for a year.
They have to maintain it for a year.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the overhead people sign that one because it doesn't seem. I mean, do they have to sign that one too? I mean, it
They're
seems
just
like,
going into town right away, must be, right? With their
yeah, this
poles,
is just
the overhead.
I assume.
yeah, it's just to go into the, yeah. They might put a pole next to the road, basically.
See, they're coming off that right away from Mary Mary's, going across mine, and then coming down alongside the road and then shooting across and down the edge of the road.
That's it in terms of roads for me.
Well, if nothing else, Mo, you guys did a great job. That was impressive. That was a big freaking hole.
Oh,
Dig out, fill
a
in.
lot of material, over 3,500 yards.
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody complain. I think it was a good job. Did well, 3 days.
Yeah. Wednesday, yeah, we went, rescue rolled by.
When Jonathan left, he said, you have town road guys, but don't forget that you have really skilled construction guys. And this is the first, I think I'm really
The
impressed.
landowner was awesome.
Yeah, everything worked
Jeff
out.
and his crew and
Yeah.
Andy is, I mean,
Yeah.
you guys have all worked together enough.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Great.
I said that crew and these guys, I mean, when they did that one on by the White Barn, that guy said that was the best prepared bed he ever
Yeah.
had for.
Yeah,
That was SDI road, right?
yeah, just check, check it out.
Oh, does he have to sign?
Yeah.
Have we got anything else, Kathy?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course you do.
Sorry.
Well, let's do one thing. Let's get the minutes. Somebody approve the minutes. Get that
I'll make a
done.
motion to approve the minutes.
Someone second it? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Anyone opposed? Same with the warrants. Someone make a motion to accept?
So be it.
Just wanted to mention
Second it.
also in the warrants, sorry, did you?
Second it? Anybody in favor?
Above ground.
Okay, get that out of the way.
So in the warrants you just signed, there, you may have noticed that there's a $32,257 invoice for our workers' comp. That is the invoice that came after the audit that we just did. It was anticipated based on our conversation at the beginning of the year that money was gonna need to be spent. We increased that budget line. That is, that expense is in addition to the 20.
What did we budget and what was our total?
So the total is going to be $6,000 more than what we budgeted for that budget line.
Have we started calling around yet? Now's the time.
And that just, I wanna make sure that, so this is for the costs that we incurred, or this is for our policy from February of last year to February of this year that they audited. So then they recalculated, and this is the bill for the part that we weren't paying for. And when I looked back to see if we had done a previous audit for this, I didn't see any workers' comp audits.
We had doing this on the farm every year.
I was gonna say they do hours every year, so.
The workers' comp is a different policy than the municipal policy around cars and structures and things like that.
Anybody that's I've ever had workman's comp, that you get yearly audits and you have to make up the difference the next year.
Right, but this is insurance, buildings, cars.
This is workers' compensation.
This is workers' comp.
This is for life, disability.
Either way, start looking at all of them.
Yeah.
They're all up to the.
And was it because your payroll was higher?
There were not, yeah, the payroll was higher. And I don't think that so I did bring, but we don't want to go too much into technical, it'll go forever, but they increased the road construction paving line. They increased the clerical office employees, so that also, that was reflective of last year, which included both myself and Jonathan. So there are just some tweaky things.
Bookkeeping and all that stuff.
Is this through that HUD or is this through?
This is Wellfleet, and HUD actually is they're our kind of accounts manager. They're the ones who bid everything out to. So Wellfleet is the insurance agency for our liability policy. Let's see. So I will start looking at what else there is for us. We have a grant writer interested in the position, and they won't accept it because that would be the pay per hourly rate is significantly lower than what he's ever been able to. It's not where he is at this point. We say it's up to $28 an hour based on experience. So we don't have any other applicants for that position. And he actually wanted to know if there was any wiggle room on that.
Have him come in. If we can find somebody who can get us $1 million, we'll give him.
What's he looking for?
Is he local?
I didn't ask what he's looking for, but I do know that, well, I don't want to say it. I actually invoice $50 to $75 an hour for grant writing outside of work. So I don't know what he's looking for, but that's what the going rate is.
What was his deal? What was his experience?
He's very experienced. So I did bring his resume. He was a development director for Central Community House in Ohio from 2019 to 2022. He was a collaborations manager for Properties of Ohio, which is municipal. He was a family-centered change initiative coordinator, and he has definitely skills in terms of Windows and all of the things that we would need him to be able to do in terms of computer work.
How do we manage his time?
How would we manage his time? So I also brought in.
Is he a local person?
He just moved to the area.
In Fairfield?
I got his name from Melanie, and he lives in Bakersfield, so he's pretty close by.
I ran into grant writers in the past that they really knock it out. So it's like, a 2-page grant ends up being 15 pages, and the time just goes.
Yeah, expands out.
So somehow you gotta manage it.
Yeah, I agree. So in the job description, it said that and again, I haven't managed a grant, we haven't had a grant writer on staff yet, but it says that it's 8 to 20 hours a week, dependent on demand, what's happening with grants, what's required, and that there's a grant writing committee that needs to be petitioned if there's going to be more hours related to a grant, and that would come to you as well. So, but those hours, if we, we still have the same amount of money in the budget for a grant writer, those hours could increase because we haven't paid somebody, or they could be, yeah, it's hard to tell what we would do.
So much in the budget, that's what you're gonna spend. That's it.
So would you like me to invite him to come in?
I think that's the best way.
Yeah, to know what you're dealing with.
Sure, yeah, it'd be great. If he comes in.
Can I see his resume?
Sure.
Yeah, I think the question is, like,
Let's state it up.
you guys take advantage of it.
You know, when,
Thank you, Bob.
I think, yeah, I've been on, when you get the big Mars grant, and it's like, okay, what's the quote on this grant, you know? I agree that 20 bucks an hour.
So this is the grant writer, description, job description, if you want a copy. And I did bring his resume for you all to look at if you want to have a copy of that too.
Ron, look at, he knows more about grant writers than I do. Do you want one?
No, I want to see the resume, I'm sorry.
Isn't that the resume?
No, this is, somebody wants to use the town green.
Oh, sorry, I handed you the wrong email. It's coming your way.
What are we calling the town green? Which one is that?
Big baseball diamond over here.
So that's down in East Fairfield. They wanted to, this is a request from the community center to use the town green for a Halloween harvesty celebration. And I just wanted to make sure that that would be okay with you.
Pretty much use it all the time now anyway, don't they?
Yeah, I think that they are in the habit of asking permission. I'm not sure. I said I don't see any problem with it, but
So they want the park or the ball field? They don't want the park.
They must want the park, I
Mhm.
would assume.
I was gonna say, use it all their,
All summer.
concerts.
one of the
Don't
things
ask
that
for
they
it.
would be doing is putting up scarecrows. So they would have a scarecrow competition starting October 1st, and they would leave those up during October. So they wanted to make sure that that would also be okay with you.
Give you that back so it can get lost.
Let's see. So that's the grant writer. I will invite him in. The library, we had a conversation, there was a special meeting held last month with Gary Dizell, who works with UVM Extension Consulting half-time with libraries across the state. And they had invited him in because they wanted to learn more about how public libraries in Vermont operate and in terms of in their municipalities fiscally and within their communities. And they basically, the gist of the meeting was that they talked about how do you manage capital. Basically, they're building improvements. How do they plan those things out? What role do they play? What role does the town play? How does that look? Because they basically haven't done that before. So I do think it's a good time for the select board and trustees to meet together. You all want to, they want to, so we should make a plan to do that at some point. I thought that their meeting was good. It was interesting. They learned, I think, a lot about what it means to kind of care for a building, and that's basically what they worked on.
What kind of agreements were set up? We can have a meeting and talk till we're blue in the face and it's fun, it's great. How did things work? There's so much.
Thought you were going back to your notes the last meeting we had.
Yeah.
Check it all out.
And the point was we were gonna figure out.
They want
what was
an
the
MOU. I think that they are looking at, they would like to be able to have agreements to figure out what they have that exact same question.
Right, but that's what I'm
agreed?
saying. When they told us all it was gonna be free, how did they present that? I don't care which way it is, but somewhere it's in writing that nobody has say, the trustees have say over X, Y, and Z, and they ask or.
I've done some research and I didn't find an MOU signed by anybody that said those things. We'd probably have to research back in the minutes. And that's why I think just in terms of, this was the other thing that Gary was talking about at the meeting. He said most municipalities just have an MOU that says, at this juncture, the library is responsible for X, Y, and Z. They should connect with the select board over you know, A, B, and C. They just don't have that, and I think that my suggestion is that the select board and trustees work on one moving forward. Because that historical record is, I think, of course, it's tension. I mean, I'm not sure.
We just need to
You know.
go back before that and figure out what was done and said and move forward. No big deal.
Yeah, I think we should move forward.
Well, when they first proposed it, Gavin and I were both there, that wasn't gonna cost the town anything.
Yeah.
Right,
That
so-
was the sales job.
That was the sales, and that's why we agreed to it.
Right, so let's just figure out somewhere's that was in writing or this was in writing, whether it's in minutes of a meeting or what, just.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I remember the meetings right here in this room.
Yeah.
And this is the time where they've used they're almost done paying off the mortgage. They're trying to figure out how they want to manage that money. I think that that's a good conversation for you to have, because I don't think that at this time it would hurt to just have a new look at what I mean, that was a while ago, so new look at what do they have, what do they need, what do you need, what's the
So
arrangement?
all we want to do is look out for the best interests of the town.
Exactly.
So.
I mean, all they want is want, they don't have any give.
They want to understand and have an agreement. That's
They'll tell you that, they haven't done
It
it.
hasn't shown that way so far, let's put it that way. No, maybe it's a different outlook now, but
okay.
I mean, they promised that 2 or 3 years and they haven't done anything, so.
But, you know, we gotta live with what we got, so.
So they
Get
want
through
to
that.
have a meeting, they would like to set a meeting, a joint meeting between the select board and the trustees. Just to have this conversation, to start this conversation. I don't know when the last time the trustees and the select board met together.
Do we have any, is there any agreement today?
I've looked, I've researched, I don't see an MOU anywhere. I think it's handshake agreements, or it's within the meeting minutes that
Really
I haven't done the research on.
I mean, for the endowment?
The money went through the town of Fairfield to the library. I remember that part because Jerry Longway was the town clerk that time. And the guy from Tennessee, the lawyer for the sister, her husband and her, they left more money than that Consuelo did.
Yeah.
About probably double. And they were the ones that wanted to make sure that through the town of Fairfield to the library, because they wanted it to be controlled by the town. And when it first started off, it was kind of this little entity that ran out of school there for what, 10 years, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the school wanted to move them out, and that's when they started this over here. But I would be honest with you, I don't know whether there's like formal written agreements. And then once they got, it was kind of a quality something for a while, and then, you know, they got more involved with it. We do remember the guy, there was a guy named Wilson from Essex. He was an attorney. He said the biggest thing is watch out for the money.
Yeah.
Because he said too many of them get endowments. 10 years later, the endowment's gone. The whole thing falls on the community.
No, and that nobody can argue that
They've done well
that's
with the
their
money.
way. I mean, they've
Yeah.
done
But the town assumed a lot more of the responsibility of it because it makes up roughly 10% of your town budget.
Right. And that's how they haven't pissed it away.
Right. Well, because the
Let's
town wound
just
up
do
paying,
it.
town wound up paying for the funding law. That town paid. Excuse me.
Technically, I mean, it's more building than what they really need, they're overkill. I mean, it's like the other building they built, they haven't used that much either.
Which one's that?
Post and beam one there.
Oh, yeah, that one that guy wasn't gonna build, then he had to be compensated for the logs or getting them out. So. Up above, there's one up there for, not for their gardens or outdoor garden thing or something.
No, the rec department uses it.
They're like, somebody uses it though?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad about that.
So let's just have them come in. We'll open up. What do you guys have? What can you find? And just move forward. I'm not going to deal with it.
They're working on their budget as well, just so you know, they're meeting this Thursday is they're starting up their budget conversation. And I was thinking maybe at the next meeting, it might make sense for the select board and the trustees to meet, but now it sounds like the select boards are meeting again. So it may need to be a separate meeting because it's gonna be November and then it's gonna be budget season and then it's gonna be that.
don't think we're ready to meet with Sheldon by next time. Let things cool off and
I think we should have, either Kathy or somebody talk to the lawyer and just
Yes,
see what the basics about turning that or
Throwing it up as a
Whatever
town
response-
trail.
Yeah, I have a list, and there's some ordinances, like some,
Yeah.
not
I
ordinances,
mean, I have no problem,
statutes,
throwing
there's
it
state
up.
statutes around this town.
get it out.
I agree. I have a list of research that I wanted to do before we meet again, for sure.
I kind of think that long term is, if all property owners are there, they're happy with doing that. They're the ones that, future whatever.
but long term, if we ever want a road over the hill, will it ever happen? Maybe not, but it's like
Yeah,
any other piece of land. They don't make it, it's gonna cost 5 million times more to get it back.
I don't see us.
No, I'm just
Long
trying to
term,
throw
I
the
don't
other
see it,
side.
yeah. But anything's possible.
So would you like me to invite them to the next select board meeting? The library?
You gentlemen,
Let's just, we gotta face it and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay. So Star Wind Farms update, you have some mail. Right here.
Just on the end of the merry-go-round.
Yes, and there's a picture of the location. I tabbed it, and there's also a picture of what kind of wind turbine they're looking at. So I tabbed that. There are 2 documents here, so if you want to look at them. And basically, they are, in accordance with state statute, giving us 45 days notice that they're planning on, they have a plan to apply for a certificate of public good for that small wind farm of 6 small wind turbines.
whose property is this on?
It's the Horrigan Wind Farm on 1272 Menard Road. And the application is gonna, this came from the Public Utility Commission in Montpelier. And the application will be submitted in November, they expect, and there will there's time now, all the way up until even after the party has submitted, for anybody to make comments or ask questions. That if you have any questions about this, we can email those questions.
So is this on Dave and Peggy Hortons?
Yes.
This is one of those deals where the power goes all out of state and all that too?
I don't know where it's going. It'll go into the grid right at the end.
Well, it says in the first service list, these are the ones that are getting it, or these are neighbors?
With the
PG on
problem
top.
I
butters.
don't know, maybe you don't have that.
It's the same.
Is there a page number on it?
4. Just says service
Oh.
list.
This also went to zoning, so the zoning.
I would say, looking at this, is all the landowners around it.
Nobody exactly.
And all of the landowners will also still have time to comment and and ask questions through November.
Is it way up on top, or?
Yeah, you go up to that where the house is, where I live,
I haven't been there in a
up the
while.
top.
You go up that roadway where it turns back towards,
You can see it from the pond, they're right
You
there.
turn right in
Yeah.
front of the house, and then you go straight up.
Oh, yeah.
okay. So you don't go up the old roadway and down to
No,
that,
It's right,
I'm gonna
right
look
out
up
the
at
farm.
right at the farm?
Well,
I'm gonna
it's
look
above
right
the
at
farm.
They're right there,
I
right there.
was gonna say, it's gotta be up way to the top of the peak to get the wind.
It's good windy out there.
tops of them.
Huh?
It's good windy out there.
No, but I'm just saying, they gotta have it up near the top of the peak, they can't have it.
No, no, you will, yeah, I don't think you will.
No, but you're gonna be staring right at it, for sure.
So no action needs to be taken on
No
this one?
action, I just need you to be informed, and if you need me to ask questions or give them information, please, I wanted you to have that. If you all want a copy, I can make copies, but please let me know what you'd like me to do, if there's anything from the select board.
Yeah, I'd like to just double check that they're in accordance with the adopted regional plan
Okay.
that talks about siting that was passed at the Northwest Regional Plan. And that's just a cross check. I suspect they are, but I wanna.
450 feet,
That's what they are in height?
that's what it says, tower height.
No, they're 72 feet. Let's see. Tower height 100 feet. So the tower height is 100 feet, and then you got 40, they're 150 feet high. The tree line's probably, what, 70 feet? 80
Well, it
feet?
depends whether they use the small wind turbo or the large one.
They're using small ones.
Oh,
No, they're using the Star 72, small wind turbines, 150 feet high. And like I said, the tree line is, what's the tree line? 80 feet?
80 tall.
So if you're on Fairfield Pond, you're gonna be looking at 7 turbines, right?
same as the one in Georgia.
Does anybody want to take time with this one to take the view to read through?
Yeah, well, I find it fascinating that the pictures,
Hey, can I see that, man?
I find it fascinating that the pictures are from this viewpoint.
I know.
That's disingenuous.
There's nothing there.
There is, I read through and there, I don't remember where it was, but they did say something about the view from Fairfield Pond. It is written in there.
Well, one thing would be written. Yeah, no, I would just cross, I would just cross-check the, make sure it's in accordance with the Northwest Regional Plan.
I can do that. So the only other thing, small but mighty, is that in October, the first meeting of the month falls on a staff paid holiday. It's the Columbus Indigenous Peoples' Day, and staff aren't working. And I'm actually traveling back from a memorial. My cousin passed away. So I was wondering if you wanted to schedule that meeting on a Tuesday. How do you handle those kinds of meetings?
Work for you, gentlemen?
Tuesday works for me.
So it would be the
I don't
Tuesday.
think we can skip a meeting like sometimes.
You're right. I think that one just do it another night.
So Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay. And that's
That's it.
Okay, how about Wednesday?
We have twins on that day.
I won't be here on Tuesday.
Well, thank God Dave's still got a scribe hand.
and that's it on the list. Thank you.
Okay.
Melissa?
Actually, that's not true, hold on. What was the
I thought this was gonna be a really long meeting, and it's 9 o'clock, we're doing okay. Compare it, it's 3 weeks in between meetings, seems like a lot of work
We
between.
had that other group for 3/4 of an hour.
Probably next. I have another, trash complaint from Egypt Road, but I haven't gone and looked at it yet, so.
Can't be Kurt Wescom's place. They got that all tidied up now.
We should have,
450 Egypt Road. I haven't gone up yet. I have to go over.
right, there's other minutes, we should have other minutes, right? Because I was here at the last one meeting. I missed yours, the one with the stick rifle. We had one after that, right?
The 22nd was the last meeting. Is that what you're saying?
The last meeting was the one where people came to give us money for the bridge.
That was it.
No, it was the
Maybe.
22nd.
Yeah.
I thought it was after, maybe it was the
Well,
one
that was
before
the last meeting we had. That's when they came.
That must be before that.
Yeah, we got any other business to conduct?
I need a little, just courtesy heads up. So the Friends of Northern Lake Champlain, remember when they came and visited and they made their presentation? So we gave them a tour, the Pond Association gave them a tour. They looked at all the properties. They had, they said, hey, generally everything looks good. The town did an excellent job with riprap on Mackenzie Road, and they just seeded it and grassed it and with mulch. Looks great. They asked me as the Pond Association president to facilitate visits to landowners, and I'm asking for a little advice. I said, hey, any landowner visits, you gotta write them a letter, you gotta tell them what the visit's for, and you gotta get their permission. And I bring that up as a courtesy for, they briefed the select board, but I said, yeah, we wanna facilitate visits, but we also wanna build trust with the landowners. And I'm looking for any, that makes sense, right?
I would say that's a good way to go about it.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, because you're not gonna go facilitate a visit unless somebody knows about it, and say, hey, come and.
And why?
Right, why, yeah.
What
yeah,
they're
right.
looking at.
Okay, thank you.
I also have this for Ron and anybody else who wants a copy of the current.
How we doing?
Kathy, for the record, there's no
Yeah,
reference.
we're 76%.
Kathy, just for the record, there's no reference to Fairfield Pond in that document. No, there's no, as a matter of fact, let me just read, and I'm, like I said, I'm not opposed to this.
No,
I'm
yeah.
not opposed to it, I'm just, but, it may be visual impact is minimal because distance surrounding residents and trees. It may be possible to see the turbines and distant distances across the valley, but the visible signature will be minimal. I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I'm not opposing it,
No, yeah,
but I think that's not.
It may, when you think about it, you're up high enough, you'll see it. But from the pond, I bet it'd be awful hard to see it.
Well, I beg to differ, because if you, and like I said,
Yeah.
anybody on the west side of the pond, you're gonna look right at it.
We can ask for, I think we could probably ask for a visual impact from a certain position.
Well, they should, some of that stuff, they, will put up a balloon.
Tower or something.
Yeah, a balloon.
Yeah.
Well,
Would you like me to request that question?
Yeah, I'd like to see, from,
Okay.
like I said, people are gonna react.
Or visual, they have that, I think I've read in the paper where they put a, colored balloon up at the height of the top of the tower so people can look and see what they're looking at.
That's a great idea. Okay, so request a visual representation from the pond.
Yeah, Fairfield Pond.
Okay.
Yeah, right there, like, give us what they did right there,
Yep.
Show us picture from Fairfield Pond
Okay.
on the west, on Mackenzie Road.
Yeah, but you wanna see, you're gonna have to have something up there to see,
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with that, Tom. What do you
Yeah,
say?
you can look at it from that Fairfield view, but you're not gonna
That's the-
tell
that's
how
the
much
apex
above
of
the
it.
trees.
I'm trying.
That's the top of it. I was up there, I was riding my bike up there.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
You can look right down
That's
at
a
the
good
pond.
idea.
Matter of fact, Jim from the town said, I was up there, and you can look right down on the pond, on the site. So if, it goes both ways, it's no, and like I said,
Just ask them.
Yep,
There's a
I'll ask
visual
for that.
impact.
yeah, I mean, you should be, not a shoe salesman. If you're trying to be transparent,
Yeah.
forthright, let's not, no surprises here.
And I think that was the concern from the big wind farm, right? the visual.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's above the tree line.
Yeah.
Trees don't go 150 feet high. So,
Not stale pond.
Any other excitement? I gotta get my sleep
No,
in.
that's
Yeah.
it, that's it,
Hey,
no.
someone make a motion to adjourn.
Somebody has
Make
to
a
eat those
motion, we adjourn.
cupcakes though.
I second
I'll
that.
just bring a couple of them.
I have